Yes, you're gonna have people turn their backs, but it's time for us to keep it real. Just keep talking that real, bro. Do what you do. I know what you do, so keep doing that. Talk the real.
The HBI lads will see you now. See you now. See you now.
I don't want to cause no problems. I just want to live my life, but I keep on hearing about nonsense.
And we're back. And it is the Luscious Three. Yeah, that's a word I'm going to use today. The originals, the bad men themselves. I am joined, of course, by Mina and Ben Humphries, because Dr. Daniel Kirkbride was underprepared due to moving states, despite the fact he had 14 days in quarantine. And when you listen to this, I expect better. But
very organized man as well.
Yeah, no, it was I feel like I'm being lied to 100%. Something's going down. It's suspicious, and damn, we will find out. But more importantly, today we thought we'd just keep it a little casual. You know, we are leaning almost halfway into September. 2021 is playing out. You guys are still in lockdowns and all that shit.
Quarantine.
But we thought we'd just talk about sort of plans for the end of the year. Especially for business owners and allied health. A bit personal, but also a bit, generalizable in terms of your own business. Like, what's your plans for the rest of the year in order to, continue to excel, but also make sure that the brain doesn't explode with anger? I'm looking at you, Bina. You've already lost your hair, so you're a ticking time bomb. So, lads, what's the plans?
Mina, you're up.
So this is an interesting one. So I guess throughout this time, there's been instances where we've sat down and thought, what can I do? What can I do different? And I haven't been able to expand my business in terms of like customer growth, obviously because of the fact that we're closed. So having to pivot was really, really, really important for me. At one point, I almost thought, I don't even know if I'll be doing massage again, because we kind of still don't have an end in sight. So I've actually been look at diversifying interstate. So I'm in the drawing board at the moment. I'm probably looking at Brisbane and Gold Coast, and looking at expanding interstate. So this is something that I'm really, really excited about. Nervous about at the same time. I don't know if it's a good idea, but we've teamed up with a few people, and I think it's going to actually take off. So that's the plan. Hopefully we can get back to somewhat work this year, but that's the plan.
It's pretty cool, bro.
It's exciting to be able to be in multiple states. That's something I kind of dreamed of. It was actually part of my 5-year plan, and I'm actually in year 4 of that 5-year plan. And this is why, I know we've spoken about it in other podcasts, but this is why your vision needs to be so clear, because that way every year you can work towards something. What you might feel is impossible right now, in 5 years, like we've seen what happens with the coins, boys, in 5 years, a lot can change.
100%. So run us through. So I know you've talked to me about one of your fellas, Fraser.
Yeah.
He's from up there, isn't he?
Yeah. So Fraser's from Brizzy. And Fraser's actually just announced that he will be moving back. But we haven't shared any of this news online, so I'm not sure when this podcast will come out, but hopefully when this podcast comes out, it'll be just in line with our announcements. But basically that's what we're looking at. So we're looking at opening up 2 clinics, one in Brizzy, one in Gold Coast. And that way we're looking at expansion. We've already got quite an established name throughout the states, and we've targeted specific niches that we feel is going to do really, really well, and people already have a pre-requirement of it. And to franchise My Body Clinic has been a big dream of mine. So this is going to be the stepping stone into doing that.
That's mad, bro. So, so run us through, because I've thought about franchising. I'm sure, Nace, it's crossed your mind as well. So, for example, it is just for my own education.
Yeah.
How far have you gone down the process of franchising? I've got a couple of clients who own like franchises, and they've said, look, if you ever need to come chat to me about it, come chat. But if you're already in the process of franchising or at least setting up new clinics and appointing new, equity holders in the business or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I don't know, just if you want to share some details.
Yeah, sure. So I've been in contact with a few lawyers that are helping me draft a franchisee contract. Now, there are a lot of differentiations that happen and how you, the biggest thing is how you support your franchisees, right? So being able to support them through your marketing. So you've got to give them a lot of your marketing, you've got to give them a lot of your structure, your foundations, your value, your business plan has to be thorough, your health and safety plans have to be complete. Like everything needs to be blueprinted on paper, ready to present to a lawyer. Okay. Once you've dwelled through that process, then you're looking at cost of goods, cost of areas, who takes ownership of what part, what are we responsible for as a franchisee, and what are they responsible for? Where can they open? How can they open? How much can they do their own thing versus changing the business? You know, if they want to be able to do things in their own, everything has to get bypassed through the original. So there's a few things that, you know, have to be discussed and signed and agreed on, because this is where you can turn a relationship quite nasty. Like, for example, let's say, you know, all the My Body clinics wanted to do a restructure and facelift. Yeah. Well, I've just put that on the franchisee. They might not have the money to do that. They lose the franchise.
Yeah.
So getting those fundamentals really clear takes a fair bit of time, but you know, there's a lot of existing structures, so it's making sure you have a good lawyer that can do that for you, and it's a little bit costly. So a lawyer's time, I'm not going to go through specific prices, but a lawyer's time is quite expensive, going back and forth. So you need to be able to have about 50 grand behind you at least to get the process started.
Damn. That's
Yeah.
good. It's exciting.
Yeah,
And
it's exciting.
It's smart as well, because you know how long have you been shut down for now?
Coming to about 15 months.
So bad, bro. A lot of it, like it's a not a wonder, but like it's a great thing that you've obviously the business has survived this far, and like that's a credit to you for like my business has been down for 2 weeks, not even completely down. I'm not saying we're struggling or anything, but it's just giving me a sniff of what it would be like to have like extended times not operational.
Yeah.
So obviously well done to you there. And I think it's an intelligent move, you know, considering all things considered. Queensland seems like it's a state, doesn't it, at the moment, that's sort of less affected by COVID. In Western Australia, I guess.
Based on a bit of market research around there, as you know, like in Perth and a lot of these states, they close early. It's like, you know, by 8-9 o'clock, everything's kind of dead anyway, right? But this health space just keeps pumping, right? It's such in high demand, and the amount of practitioners that are graduating in Queensland and Perth does not meet the reach of how many people want it, the demand. So it's a very, very thriving market at the moment, and a lot of people are studying in Victoria and then going back and then leaving. So if I can bring that there and establish that something there, and then Sydney will be next. So that's something that we want to tap into. So that's the plan. That's the plan. How well we execute that, well, I'm going to learn a lot. And as you said, man, like it hurt a lot being closed. Like, you know, when you're making top dollar, you know, week in, week out, you can forecast, you base your lifestyle around what you get paid. And when everything goes to shit, you know, you need to be able to make sure your home and your lifestyle here is balanced financially. And this is where we spoke about a lot of financial stress, and being able to plan for something like this takes time, because you need to have your, in case of emergency, money, because just like this pandemic, I had wages to pay. I had 3 rent spaces to pay. During COVID, I opened up another 2 businesses. So the recovery locker and the Richmond clinic. So I never anticipated this sort of drop before. And then for me to then forecast and franchise, well, you had to plan and kind of get that. So this franchising happening a lot sooner than I anticipated. So that's why it was a little bit scary. But it looks like it's coming into fruition pretty quickly.
That's awesome, bro. So we'll do a few trips up to Queensland.
That's it.
That's awesome. Interstate would be sick. NBC Interstate.
Yeah.
And then join forces over in Perth, I reckon. Nath, you said there's a bit of a demand, do you think? Or there's just not, I guess, these types of services offered over there? I'm not sure.
I mean, there's not really a lot of myo here for a start because it hasn't really existed. I think there's a training school now, but I don't even know if they've had their first graduates. So like myo, people have, like, I mean, people don't know what it is in the general time, as Mina has told us, but they definitely have no frigging idea over here. And so I think from the massage clinics I know and work with, like, a lot of them are very busy, and the challenge has been finding therapists. Part of that is because a lot of therapists obviously continued to work from home over COVID to, you know, minimize overhead. But it's very rare to find a clinic that, you know, especially in soft tissue, that has multiple therapists in it. It's like one of the ones I've just worked with has just shut down. It's being reopened shortly, but it's one of those ones, like, it's a very hard game, and people aren't surviving in it, right? So and I think, you know, it comes back to a lot of stuff with that there's perhaps with governance, there's an issue in terms of the way people are running it, you know, what they allow clients to do and not to do, mindsets behind stuff. There's a lot of areas I see for my, like, soft tissue sort of colleagues where I think they could run a better business model, which would serve the, you know, both the patient and the individual better. You know, I think it's more understanding where they fit in a long-term solution to people's, you know, day-to-day life or, like, ongoing life. And that's where, you know, I know us over in chiropractic, we often talk about being part of the lifestyle rather than being a, like, oh, I'm sore, I'll just jump in kind of thing, right? I think that's been a real issue in a lot of things, is they're caught in this confines of, like, colleagues that usually are colleagues that just suck at what they do, telling you you're doing something wrong, and people wanting it, and they're feeling like, I don't know what to do. Like, I think, you know, as I have, you know, not always had the same opinion as everyone, but when people ask me who I should see for what, I say you should see everybody. You should go as deep as your wallet allows, because everyone's going to bring something different, and those people should sit on your regular team as much as you can provide. And that's why within my team I have, you know, for my own body, I have chiro, physio, massage, train, like all these things. And for me, it's a long-term thing that I'm part of, not a short-term solution. And I think that mindset's probably a real big shift that needs to happen for a lot of professions.
That's really well said, man.
Yeah, even in speaking physio, like, and that's even my experience with chiropractors like yourself and Maddie mainly is just understanding that, you know, switching people to maintenance phases, which means that's an integration with the lifestyle. It's like, look, it's not a come and go. Let me rephrase that. It's not, you know, you get injured, then you come and get a curative type treatment, and then you don't come back until you get injured again. It's just like, let's push you onto sort of a maintenance phase where we're looking more of the prevention model versus the curative model. And people often ask me, especially with frequency of appointments, especially with Maddie at Thrive, they're like, oh, you know, did you go X amount of time frequency per week? I'm like, yeah, I do. And if I can, I would go more, because I said, you're trying to offset, you know, postural loading, gravity, whatever else it may be. But I said, like, those things don't just stop, you know, they're always continuous. There's a continuum of stresses on your body that continuously needs, you know, attention. So I think you'd probably be in the same boat, Mina, where you're probably shifting a lot of clients to maintenance-based treatments where you might be locking people in every 3, 4, 5 or 6 weeks at a time. And it's like, and this is the best time to work with people, is that when they're like not injured. It's just like, I was like, rather than us working on your lower back, because it's always injured this time, I said, you want to come in? He goes, oh, you know, what about we work on my bit of scraping of my quads and my calves and something like that, because I want to, you know, my back doesn't hurt anymore. Let's just work on other different body parts.
I love being part of that journey. And I think you said before, you know, the mindset of my clients, like, I'm thinking of a few clients now. Fuck, I miss my job. I'm thinking of a few clients now where I've shifted
miss touching
to
people.
that. Well, you know, whatever works, but it's something that's a lot happens through that touch, man. You touch a lot of lifestyles, you touch a lot of people's areas where they need help, right? We say we play such a huge part in that transition. Like some people that have, I know have retired and they just want to live a healthy lifestyle now. They've finished hardcore jobs like where they don't need to use it, but now they just want to maintain. They come for their monthly sessions, and that's a lifestyle balance for them. The fact that they can still have their life and get treatment, for them, it's such a great balance because they know they're in check and someone's holding them accountable to that. So, someone asked me before, like during the pandemic, probably like 3-4 months ago, they're like, man, are you going to open up another clinic? I'm like, fuck no chance. Nah. I'm not, right? But just seeing how passionate I am about my job and how much I miss my job, like growth is the only thing I can actually think of. Whether it's me, but as long as, my vision is pouring through these channels. And that's what makes us also different, is because, like you said, Nate, before, it's like, you should see everyone. Yes, you should, man. That's why your private health don't just give you one thing, they give you everything.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
Well, it's also so they can minimize how much they give you, but that's a whole different conversation.
That's a whole different. That's a rant. That's a rant conversation.
Spread it out.
But you get my point, right?
Yeah, no, 100%, right? And like the thing that I think as practitioners that people forget is sometimes people aren't coming in to get better; they're just coming in because it's nice and they enjoy it and it feels good, right? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. This is what people rant on Instagram. Is like, you're a bad practitioner and a bad person for getting people in when they don't need it. And it's like, so they're a fucking adult, mate. They spend their money how they want. They make their own decisions. I'm not.
They know what benefits.
I'm not putting a gun to your head saying, "Come back, I'll fucking kill you."
Yeah.
Like,
and the biggest thing is we're not disempowering people. Like, these people are coming of like choice, not because they think that they will die if they don't. Right. And and the reason that people have these ideas is there has been practitioners out there over the years that have scared people into care. Right. But it's not about, one bad doesn't make the good. It's that classic. It's like, I always laugh with people. They're like, I saw a guy once, didn't like it. I think you're all like dumb. And you're like, sweet, had a bad meal? And they're like, yeah. I was like, just stop eating. They're just like, no.
With the same brush. That's right.
It's like, sweet. So I'm going to go over here now where the idiots aren't hanging out. So like,
correct.
It's just like sometimes, man. I had another one the other day. Once a month, I get someone comment on my Facebook ad with the usually it says "see a physio," and I'm like, part of me is like, yes, I agree. What's your point? It's usually some dude holding a fish or something, right?
Yes, fucking wrong.
Profiles,
and I just I was like, I'd love to have a conversation about this, but it's the internet, so I won't. So I'm going to ban you and block you. But you're just like, what a waste of fucking time that you felt that was the move, right? This is the move right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to comment on this guy's page and be like that. But that's people, right? I was listening to something this morning. It's like the least educated people have the most amount of opinions. And I think that goes both from this is something we talk about all the time, least educated in both actual education, traditional academia, and experience.
Yeah.
And the people that have are lacking in both or overemphasize one are literally the worst humans on this planet.
It's like there's the distribution of IQ, bell curve. It's like all the fucking low IQs are loud as fuck, and then you got all the really super intelligent people obviously also have the opinions as well. So it's like the genius.
There's a middle ground.
All the dumbasses, they're the loudest.
Yeah. The thing
the guy with the fish in a Facebook, he ain't the genius.
Yeah, that dude could be an absolute weapon bricklayer. I have no idea, but he's not in. We're not in his lane anymore, so he needs to take 2 seats down. But that's not the point. We're here to talk about future plans, right? Which Mina's kicking it on. I'm going to be taking some time off shortly, which is lovely for the wedding. It's only 6 weeks away now. And when this comes out, who knows what it's been? Yeah, man.
That's awesome, bro.
That's so
How's the prep going?
I've just been back on the pies after the Bucks weekend last weekend. So,
Ripper. We're going to have to hear about that on another podcast.
I'll be honest, it was pretty tight. I had a classic,
what can you do,
lads hanging out, drinking drinks, and over here you can do whatever you want.
Fuck, that's mad.
It's a different world over here, mate. We had 14 lads hanging in a house, drinking beers and having a good time, but not the point. Boys, so we can take some time off. My associate Ryan's going to hold the fort, and then we're going to come back. Ryan. And my big plan is we're looking at having a third chiropractor join the team probably early next year, probably ride through the end of the year, max myself and Ryan out. We're in a real restructuring phase of how we do things at the moment, really trying to, make our service the best service it can be. So then we know I've just gotten another front desk staff on to really make sure that all shifts are covered, and I want to be set up so that, by the time we come out of this sort of January style, we're putting someone in and looking to just go. And then I'm looking to consolidate my work hours and let new people take on more hours, right? Like, I think as we've talked over this last couple of years, one of the biggest things that I've seen and constantly been changing my vision, I'm temporarily, I think where you were at, Mina, not long ago, where I paused. I don't see a want to have another clinic. I want to use the money I make from a clinic to invest in things like what we spent half our time talking about before we get on camera, which is crypto, property, and like other investments, right? Or invest in other people. But I'm sure before too long, something will tap me on the shoulder and be like, how about another one? And who knows, maybe I'll be in a position then, or maybe it'll be in a couple of years, Ryan may want to take, or whoever comes on may want to stay part of the brand, but take that step. And
you just don't know how it's going to go. But I love growth. It's so good.
And it's so important to be opportunistic, because it all comes in swings and roundabouts. Like some days, like, man, you could be, days or weeks or months of time where you're just like, fuck this, I'm out, because, I've been shut down for reasons outside of my own control. And then other times you might be really amped up and go, well, look, let's do it. But that's the reason you stay open-minded and optimistic, and you have the vision which you initially created. That's also like the variable of motivation shouldn't really affect that, because that's obviously what you want and what you stuck by. And at the time, that's the vision that you created, and independent of mood and momentum, whatever it may be, it's like, all right, well, that's still what is going to like drive the business, and there's still the route that I want to follow. Yeah. Then when the opportunity comes, that's why it's like the old saying goes, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity that never comes than to have an opportunity that comes and not be prepared for it. So, and that's the fantastic thing about bringing on, bringing on performers and productive people into your team, is that like these guys might have that entrepreneurial flair as well. It's just like, well, I personally don't want to go up and man the thing because my whole life's here, but you, Fraser, can go, you man this thing. We set up I'll be the franchisor, you be the franchisee. We can make it work. So it's fantastic to have those opportunities and stuff. Yeah. I guess it's my turn to share before we finish up. I've just been in the quarantine for 2 weeks. I'll be out on Friday, but it's actually given me a lot of time to get stuck into my admin that I had like 2 years worth of shit to catch up on, which I've been slowly chipping away. The paternity leave I had was like a big opportunity for me. I kind of fucked it up and just spent all the time, learning how to be a dad and that sort of thing, which was good. And more important than doing my admin. And then I've had a forced quarantine where I'm like, all right, well, I can't see people, so I may as well just do some admin. So I got a lot of my admin tidied up this time around. So we have been looking for a massage therapist to bring on, because I want to expand the team into massage therapy and to physio. And I don't know if I explained this on another podcast. I'm still looking. I haven't found a commercial space yet that's suitable to open up a clinic in around Windsor or Prahran or Middle Park or around these areas. Yeah. So I really wanted to find a place by September this month, but that hasn't happened just yet. So we're in a real growth phase. I'm kind of waiting for the massage therapy and remedial to open up to hire someone, because I don't think it's that useful, putting someone on a salary, for example, and not having them working and being productive. But that's where I'm at. I'm sort of, as I said, now I've got all my ducks lined up almost. I'm almost ready to pull the trigger I am ready to pull the trigger whenever I find a space. So I want to go recovery. I like what Mina's done. So I want to put like an infrared sauna in, have a bit of a recovery aspect to the company, have a decent gym fit out, and run about 5 or 6 treatment rooms, just of physios and remedial massage therapists.
Well done. Good choices.
Anyway,
nice, man.
So that's really, really exciting, setting up floor plans and, manifesting and envisioning what you want and
And-
like all that sort of thing. So I'm ready to go there.
And just for the listeners as well, and something I really want. I get it so many times. Oh, I wish I was lucky like you, and just so motivated and blah blah blah. It's all bullshit, right? Because
Weren't born like that.
Nath's looking at it, going, "All right, you know what? I can see this, I can see this, and I can see that. That'll go into that." He can foresee a plan. Like yourself, Benny, you can go, okay, cool, I'm waiting for this timeline to happen. When that timeline happens, I'm going to do this, but I'm prepared to make that move. So when you're not prepared to make these moves, get yourself a board, start writing shit, plan everything out.
In Nate's background as well.
Exactly. Right. So, and surround yourself with
a four-sided board.
Every week I spend with you guys, I get an idea to challenge myself in some way, shape, or form. Like, if you want something, just go out there, plan it out, see what the next 12 months look like, and put little steps in place to hit that. Like all of us aren't going to get and achieve these things by just wanting to do it or hoping to get it done one day.
No, well, it's like remember the post I shared with you yesterday, I think?
Yeah.
It's like the day
share that today, yeah.
How cool is that? The day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit.
Correct.
It's like you can have, you plant. Yeah, how good's that? You plant all these seeds, and you have all these fantastic ideas. But if you haven't, like we always talk about, if you haven't got an actionable plan to get yourself there, step by step process, baby steps, leaps and bounds, whatever, however you want to do it, it's just not going to happen. And people might reach out and say, it's so fantastic you're in this position. I wish I could be like you, whatever it may be. It's just like, bro, do you really want my life? Because it ain't what it looks like at the moment.
No,
it will be yachts and crypto and fucking parties.
But we're foreseeing that, right? So we hope.
But at the moment, like, I've had like the most stressful 3 years of my life. I've been in the worst health possible. Like, Mina can only attest to the last 2 years of obviously the business being shut down, how stressful that is. It's like, man, you got to be prepared to be fucking resilient and have a great stress tolerance, and being able to pivot and be agile and like be creative at every opportunity that comes at you. Otherwise, it's like, at the end of the day, it's a competition. Like, business is competition. It's like, the strongest and the fittest will survive. It's like, if I'm going to do well, it means that I need to be pulling business from someone else, or at least creating a business out of thin air. So it's like, what you do need is that competitive nature, and that that you need to be a motivated, passionate person. So anyway, that's not this podcast, but I think you touched on some good things. Of saying the environment you put yourself in is very important. You need to be around people. Like, and that's why it's so good and so great catching up and being friends with you boys, is that we can, all four of us, literally, we're a healthy competition for each other. It's like, oh, Mina's doing this, or maybe I can do this now, or like Nate's doing this, or he's got a great idea to do this. It's just like, well, he's employing, or maybe I should employ someone. Like,
exactly. And it's not like, oh fuck, he's gonna take my ideas.
No, it's not
he's
from
gonna do better than me. No
insecurity. It's just like, you're like, bro, you're fucking killing it.
Yeah.
And I want to be
Have you tried this?
And I want to do that.
Yeah. I'm like, done. Oh, what's the next move? And then you might come up with something like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But,
and like,
exactly.
Like we've always spoke about, like, there's plenty to go around. It's just like, for example, you live in Melbourne, what, 4.7, 4.8 million people, whatever. And you think you're going to see your 40, 50 clients a week, and you think that that's all that exists. It's like, you're fucking delusional to think that. Like, there's plenty to go around. Like, you can have a list full of just professional athletes if you really wanted to, and so could several other companies around Melbourne. There's that many people here.
Let me tell you, 44,000 clinics in Melbourne, all round. All right.
Fucking hell.
4.7 million people. Go figure. You can do the maths.
I grew up in a town of 3,000 people, 44,000 businesses in Melbourne. That's fucked up.
Allied health businesses. Yeah, it's nuts.
Madness, isn't it? Like, it's crazy that people don't get the opportunity.
It's just, they're everywhere.
Right. Come on, people. Sort it out.
I think all four of us, I think soon enough, whenever we all get our asses in the gear. But I'd love, and obviously when borders and shit open, I'd love to not only to catch up, but for us to host an event or run an event. How cool would that be?
That's
I think that's got to be a
100%,
part
man.
of our future.
a HBI event. We'll see if we can run one hopefully soon.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
some planning for us to do.
That's good.
Some giving me more stuff to do.
Yeah. Fucking turn around and write that on the board.
Got to keep grinding, mate. Podcast.
Oh dear.
All
right.
All right, that's
gents. As always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you got some stuff out of that one. Reminding you always make sure you're planning for the future. And please, if you did, grab that screenshot, tag us in it on the Instagram there. We really do appreciate it because it helps get the message out. And of course, leave us a 5-star review wherever you are getting your podcasts. Thanks, team.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks, legends.